Erie. It's Monday, June 2nd. Welcome back to another Flagship City Sports Talk brought to you by Quick Fill. Guys, the sun's out. I already got my head burned over the weekend. 2 hours at Waldemere, and the sun defeated me. Good morning, everybody. Paul Adamczak in the studio, Rich Smith, and intern Hallie hanging out with us this morning, too, off mic, working some behind-the-scenes production work for us on the stream, so you can take a look at that. And oh yeah, also via the stream, we're bringing in the IP Isaac Pat Cash. How's everyone doing this morning?
I am great. 2 hours, Nick. That's all it took.
Listen, dude, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. To be fair, I haven't seen the sun in about 7 months because we live in the tundra. But yeah, 2 hours out in the sun. I'm just trying to get my base tan. That's all.
Looks like June, feels like March.
Yeah, seriously.
So the biggest question, Nick, is did you ride the new ride that they have? The one that looks like it's going to throw you up in the air and not let you back down?
I did not. I am very much I get motion sick very easily on Carnival. Oh, absolutely. 100%. But my oldest did, and he had the time of his life. He was loving every second of it. He, lives for amusement parks. The more motion that he can get and the more it throws him around, he's all for it.
So I was on the road this weekend and I rode a bus and got nauseous. So I'm right there with
you. Exactly. No, I just go to Waldemere for the snacks. I'm here for the snacks nowadays. Although I'm
here for the elephant ear.
Dippin' Dots was calling my name yesterday, but I couldn't do it. By the way, how long can Dippin' Dots be the ice cream of the future before it's the future?
I feel like that's been around for the last 50 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Until someone beats it.
I remember being a kid and I was like, this is the future. Well, 30 years later, it's still the future. So
I just think you're getting ripped off. There's just never enough ice cream in the little container that they give you.
It's just all too much ice. All too much ice. Oh, well, hey, enough of my food takes, although it won't be the last time. We got a lot of stuff we want to get into.
Food takes the last couple of episodes. Last week it was ribs. This week it's Dippin' Dots.
I mean, I have
Tune in next week.
I have worse takes on this show, let's be honest. Speaking of those takes, if you ever miss any or want to go back and make fun of me, make sure you check out the podcast anywhere you find your podcast. Flagship City Sports Talk is part of the Gem City Sports Network, so find us at Gem City SN on socials or just search for the Gem City Sports Network on your podcast channels. All right, we got a lot we want to get into today. We're going to do our D-10 baseball, softball, teams and players of the year, and then we're going to do our track and field athletes of the year. So let's go ahead and jump right into the North Shore Rewind. Starting with baseball, IP, I'm going to come to you first. I'll let you kick this one off. Let's start with teams, and then we'll finish out with players. We'll come back around for players. So go ahead. Give me your D10 baseball team of the year.
I think the team for me was easier to pick than the player. Mercyhurst Prep for me is my team of the year. They lose one game all season. They're sitting in the state playoffs, of course, starting now. And again, I want to make the moniker that we're talking about District 10 players and teams of the year, yet there are still teams in it. Mercyhurst Prep, of course, is one of those. I just think when we talked to Randy Durkowski, the head coach, a couple weeks ago, one of the things that he talked about was how deep this lineup was. And I think this is a team with more depth this year than what we've seen in years past. They're pitching, of course, with Hunter Cray and Rice on this as a second guy has been great. They can hit cover off the baseball. Just an impressive season. At 22-1, they didn't lose in region play, and hopefully they start moving on in states as they start working their way this week in the state tournament.
Well, and I think that's an important note too. Is we're not really counting states, state finishes into this analysis. We're just really looking at districts at this point. We'll talk about states when we get back into it next week. But I predicted that one. I knew Isaac was going to take Mercyhurst Prep, and if not, I was going to because they have been dominant all year. Let me jump down to mine. My team of the year, and this is one that I would have not picked at the beginning of the year. I gave them my apology on the Thursday show. Go back and take a listen to that. But I'm going to go with Cathedral Prep. And I'm going to go with Prep, not because it's a surprise. We talked about how, this is their 10th district title in a row. So this is not a team that is necessarily surprising, but one that I thought was going to have a down year. They had some excellent seniors move on and a new head coach, and I just thought that would be kind of an average year for Prep. But they finished 17-5. They still finished out as the 4A champs. And, I mean, when you got a guy like Andrew Costello, who's still batting .577 with 6 home runs and 29 RBIs. They average 9 runs a game. Yep, that's my pick. Team of the week. Team of the year. All right, Paul. Who do you got?
Okay, so this is tough. Prep, I'm thinking maybe McDowell. Fairview's up there. Sagertown has a shot. But I think at the end of the day, you got to go with the best athletes on the team. And a school that's had a really good year, not just in baseball, but obviously had a great baseball season. The Titusville Rockets, 18-3 overall, District 10 Region 2 champions. They're the Class 3A champions. They were able to take out Fairview, which nobody's been able to do for the last 3-4 years. They won 8-3 in that title game. Jackson Cavell, 5-0 on the season. The team posted 8.7 runs per game. They gave up just over 4.5. A team with a strong defense, versatile lineup, and again, good start to finish. They beat some good teams along the way. They won that buzzsaw that was Class 3A. Titusville is my team of the year.
And you just get to pick your player of the year again, right?
Well, more or less. Do you want me to start off with that one?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and write in. So those are our teams. Let me recap those. Mercyhurst Prep, Cathedral Prep, and Titusville. Let's jump into our D10 Baseball Players of the Year. And yeah, Paulie, go ahead. You can take this one.
I kind of buried the lead on this one, right? Jackson Cavell, he was my football player of the year. He's also my baseball player of the year. Offensive spark, base running threat, key piece in that title run. 619 average on the season. He hit 34 runs, 34 solo shots. It just, once again, one of the best athletes in District 10 outside of, just the confines of baseball. Yep. One of the best athletes in District 10.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's one that when you have a two-way player like that, two-sport athlete like that can still perform at that level, 34 stolen bases, 619
average. Did he play
average.
basketball? Can we pull up the basketball stats?
IP, do you know off the top of your head?
Might have been a wrestler.
Covell?
Yeah.
I think he's a wrestler.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's a wrestler.
Yep. Power hitter. That does make sense.
Yeah.
All right, IP, who was your D10 Baseball Player of the Year?
Yeah, well, Paul took mine. I mean, look, Jackson Covell, he was great at the plate, but he also could run. He was one of the best base runners in terms of stealing bases all season. I normally like to pick hitters. I'm actually going to go with a pitcher here. I'm going to go with Evan Stranko from McDowell. This has been the one guy that I think on the mound this season has been the most dominant in key games. And when I think of most valuable player, I think of not just valuable to your team, but valuable to win it matters in big games. And Stranko has been a guy who through thick and thin this season, through both postseason and regular season, has been able to find ways to get guys out and make it really difficult. I mean, his ERA speaks for itself. It's sub-2. But I also think, too, he doesn't give up a ton of hits. He also doesn't walk a ton of batters. And I think that's something that really was a great step for him this season. And, I think if we're talking about MVPs, we should probably differentiate between pitchers and fielding players, but I'll go with a pitcher, and I think Evan Stranko is one of the guys, maybe him and Hunter Cray, I think you could make an argument, are two of the guys that are up there as almost unhittable when they're at their best. So I will go with Evan Stranko. I think in the terms of the pitching department, Hunter Cray would be a close second for me.
Listen, I'm going to take a guy that does both. And Hunter Cray was up there for me as well, a guy we covered a lot this year. But I'm going to go with a player of the year who maybe didn't have a great – the team didn't perform as well as I think they would have hoped, and that's Jarek Turlage out of Northeast. Listen, 509 batting average with 11 home runs. Oh, and he had a 0.62 ERA with 148 strikeouts in 56.2 innings pitched. I see what you're saying when you're trying to split the hitters from the pitchers, but I think if you have a player in baseball or softball, we're going to talk about some softball players in that same boat that can do both, that's a deadly combination, and I think that easily pushes you to, in my mind, the top of the player of the year. So I get my player of the year with pick 3, and I'll take that every time. So
they call him Shohei of the East Side.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Northeast maybe do a little more in region there. Had a great overall record at 12-7, but 4-6 in Region 5 is just tough to get past Fairview, Girard, and even Corey had a good year this year too. So just a tough region. Listen, congratulations to all of our D10 players and teams of the year. We're just pulling people that stuck out to us, but there are so many more players that we didn't even get a chance to mention. Andrew Costello, Tyler Benford, Zach Kelly. You brought up McDowell and Fairview in baseball as well. So much fun. Just amazing games this year. This was, I think, a really exciting year for baseball.
Quickly, too, Nick, the 3 teams that we mentioned, Mercyhurst Prep, Cathedral Prep, and Titusville, they all have winnable games today. So we could see all of them in the next round of the state playoffs.
And I'm sure we'll be talking about them next week. All right, hey, we got to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to run it back with softball, looking at our teams and players of the year. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quickfill. If you're watching the stream, Paul just maybe not taking an overreaction that I will keep off the air. You're listening to Flagship
Take a corner off your man card. I'm just saying.
You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quickfill. IP, this is what you missed by not being in the studio. We're giving our pizza takes over here.
What's the pizza take?
It's a bad one, IP. It's a bad one.
I will not repeat it because I will not stand for this slander.
Well, I mean, I have to be the tiebreaker, right? You two clearly disagree.
Okay, I'll just present it without comment. Who's the best pizza in Edinburgh?
Oh gosh. I don't
IP
think
a GM grad.
I don't think you can pick anything besides John's, can you?
Thank you.
3-1 there.
Longtime sponsor of the show. We're thankful for
Absolutely.
John's. Always here for us. So get out to Edinburgh, or even, hey, you can go to Erie now. You can go to
Yeah, right by Barron.
the brewery, right Barron, and go
Yeah.
get yourself some John's pizza.
Right after a softball game.
Right after us.
dang.
Rich doesn't come in often on this show, but when he does, it's an absolute banger.
Soft golf clap on that one. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and stick in the North Shore Rewind, and let's get to some softball. All right. Just like we did in the last segment, we're going to run down our D10 softball and baseball teams of the year. I'm going to go first this time with softball, and mostly because it's the easiest one. This team was dominant this year, 21-1. They're the District 10 3A champ. I'm going down to Sharon. They had big wins this year over Hickory, Fairview, and Slippery. A 17-0 win over Slippery Rock. And listen, you don't have to go much further than Matty Vogan to see why this team is absolutely incredible. 21-0. Just a two-way player that I'm sure we'll talk. I'm stopping there because I don't want to give too much away until I get to the player there. But arguably the most dominant single season performance by a team this year in D10. Sharon looking to go far in the state tournament. IP, go ahead. You go next.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take the team that won in the class below it and only lost, actually only won one less game, the Seneca Bobcats.
Yep.
And just a foreshadowing, if I'm allowed to pick this player, my player of the year is going to come from Seneca as well. They did not allow opponents to score. They were one of the best, I think, just behind Sharon in District 10 in runs allowed per game. The pitching, of course, has something to do with that. They were remarkably consistent. That was a big part of it too. They struggled early in the championship game against Sharpsville and then just started to blow the doors off in later innings. So I look at their state playoff bracket. I really like their matchup today against Riverside to Rich's point. That's at Penn State Barron at 4 o'clock. I think if they can get by this game, they have a chance to potentially get to the state semifinals as long as their ace in the circle performs well. What a year for Seneca, and they, to me, well deserving of my team of the year.
No, I agree. They were a close second. I mean, just again, another overall team, both on offense and defensive side of the ball. Just really not many holes when you're looking at that lineup. All right, Polly.
All right, so I was between Seneca and the team that I guess is going to win my team of the year because IP took Seneca. And I guess it's fitting because this kind of fits what I did with my baseball team of the year. Not just this season. I'm looking at the class, the year as a whole, and I'm going to go with the Northwestern Wildcats. The runner-up in 3A, of course, they did lose to Sharon in the 3A championship, but that's okay. Everybody loses to Sharon. Swept Cathedral Prep this year, 12-1, 19-4, beat them pretty handily. They went 11-1 in league play, and once again, Albion's a small place.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the best athletic year, girls' athletics year in Albion in 30, 35 years that I can go back.
Yep.
What a team. Consistent throughout the season, strong finish in the region, wins over playoff caliber opponents, a true title threat. And again, they ran into a buzzsaw named Sharon, and they hung with them pretty well. So I think the Northwestern Wildcats deserving of that team of the year, guys.
I mean, at what that game against Northwestern, they lost 4-1, and I mean that's a loss, but I mean hang in against Sharon
right,
at
they
that
didn't
point.
get blown away.
Yeah.
Guys, I really think people, and I think this is appropriate to talk about now, given just how good that year was to Paul's point. I think people sleep a lot on small schools in this area, and Northwestern specifically. This is a really proud athletic program with a lot of tradition, some of which I don't even get a chance to research all the time. I mean, I know a decent amount of it. My stepdad's a graduate from there. He would tell me stories about the athletic tradition there. And I just think when you get people who are from the country, who are working men and working women, not saying people from other schools aren't, but they're, you have a lot of people who are, let's face it, you're baling hay all summer long. You're strong, you're in shape, you're committed. And I just think that this program in this town, there's a lot to be excited about for Northwestern. And I think that tradition that they maybe had lost for a few years is seemingly back. And I think that's a good thing for District 10.
Nope, I agree. It's easy to make that turnaround too. When you have that history of being competitive for so long.
I love when small towns rally around their good teams.
Yeah.
I really do. And they were able to do it for the basketball team, and then they didn't get a break.
Yeah.
They got right in softball season, had another great team to rally behind, and the crowds that they gathered at those games is incredible. That's high school sports.
Yeah. No, I agree. IP, you sounded like you were going to jump in there for a second.
It's just funny because I remember, being back in school in elementary and middle school, being a GM guy. Northwestern was our rival for a long time. Then classifications, of course, shifted. General McLean grew in size, and so it became sort of Fort LaBeouf. But, Northwestern has steadfastly for years and decades been part of that ECL rivalry slate where you've got the Fairviews and the Girards and the Albion of the world and GM LaBeouf. I think maybe they had dropped off the map from that ECL rivalry clash, if you will. I think they're firmly back on it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see this school in Albion now be, hopefully, for our sake, another powerhouse moving forward because it just makes the Erie County League that was that much more exciting.
IP throwing out high school notes like it wasn't 4 years ago.
It only feels like 4 weeks ago. Man.
In my day.
Back when I was a young lad.
Hey, many moons ago.
When, before the old guys on the show tend to lose our brains, let's go ahead and jump to our players of the year as well. And I'm going to lead off. I already kind of alluded to this, and I don't know where you could go anywhere else, and that's Maddie Vogan. Maddie Vogan has the 0.30 ERA. Leads the D-10 with 272 strikeouts. That's per Go Erie Stats. Oh, and she can hit the ball. She's got a 645 average, 15 home runs with 42 RBIs, and she's a sophomore. Over 500
Bingo.
strikeouts as a sophomore. Listen, I think that's insane. I think she has the potential to finish her high school career with 1,000 strikeouts. That's insane to me. I mean, a great two-way player. From what I've been able to read online, a good teammate as well. Bob Greenberg has done a lot of coverage on Maddie Vogan being down there in Mercer County as well. So just an unmatched dual threat, ace pitcher, power hitter, easily my softball player of the year. We'll go back in the order. So IP, go ahead, and you already alluded to yours, so let's hear it.
Yeah, to your point, I think if Maddie Vogan and Sharon can get past the first round today, guys, I'd be stunned if they didn't make the state semis or the state final. I think they got a really good road. You want to talk about sophomore dominant pitchers in the circle? All right, I'll go to Seneca and give you Sophia Primavera. I don't think people realize how good this pitcher is, and maybe even I didn't at the beginning of the year. Of course, her sister Samantha gets a lot of talk in the offensive department, who hit over 300, but didn't lose her game all season. Was just remarkably consistent. Didn't have the strikeout numbers that Maddie Vogan had, but she just didn't allow runners to A, get on base, and B, score. Yeah. She didn't give you anything for free. She was a force on the plate as well as part of that Seneca offense. And I just think the model of consistency for what the Bobcats were able to do this season, where she was, so was the team. Yeah. And I think that, if she's able to continue doing what she's done all year in states, who knows? Seneca's got an opportunity. So I'll go Sophia Primavera. I think the sophomores, those two have dominated in the circle. I think those two, to me, are clear cut above the rest if we're talking certainly in the circle for pitchers of the year, but players of the year too.
Well, no, I agree, and I think the only reason she's not talked about as much is because there's just a bunch of pitchers, that sit above her. I don't want to give out some names because I want Paulie to go ahead and jump in with your player of the year. But I think based off of who Paul selects here, I think it's just going to be even more reason why she doesn't. I think she's well deserving. I love the pick, Isaac, and I think had some of these other like next year, I agree. I think she's going to be at the top of the list when we come back next year. Polly, what do you got?
Okay, I can't believe this is happening right now. I had to check the calendar on my computer. It feels like 1983. You know what happened in 1983? Dan Marino fell to...
Isaac wasn't born yet.
Well, neither was I.
That's true. Neither was I.
Dan Marino fell to 27th in the NFL draft.
You guys
I'm picking
suck.
third
Calling me
here.
old.
I'm picking third here, guys, and somehow Gabby DeLuca is still on the board for Player of the Year.
That is crazy.
Nick, you went first. Isaac, you went second. I counted this right, Rich. I'm going third. Gabby DeLuca is still on the board for Player of the Year. Guys.
You're running that pick to the board.
I filled out the card. I'm just waiting for Isaac to say his name. He's not really going to say that, is he? Listen, guys. Senior from McDowell, 559 average at the plate, 10 home runs, also struck out 228 batters, had a .55. That's 0.55 ERA. We're talking about a veteran leader, elite numbers on the mound and at the plate. I get it. Her team is out. They lost in the state, sub-regional to state college?
Yeah,
okay.
state college.
So her team isn't moving on. But we're not picking team of the year, guys. We're picking player of the year. And listen, if I'm any softball league around Erie County and Gabby DeLuca kind of, shuts the door on her car and she's walking toward the field, yeah. I'm going, that's my pick.
But to put this in perspective with Vogan and DeLuca, and I mean, Primavera's up there too, but you had Maddie Vogan, again, this is per Go Erie stats. Maddie Vogan led the league with 272 strikeouts. Second place, you had Gabby DeLuca at 228, and then you had Miranda Biles from Jamestown at 191. And then also was on our list for potential players of the year.
Yes.
AJ Jarzab.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just you rip us apart. Had 108, was fourth in the league with 189 strikeouts. But is as a freshman,
yes,
who also had a 0.49 ERA. So a lot of great pitchers in District 10 softball this year. So that's it. That is our D10 players and teams of the year. Again, a lot of great teams. It was really hard to pull. I took Maddie Vogan off the top just because I didn't want to have to choose somebody else. So kudos to you guys for finding some of those. And it'll be curious. There a lot of these teams are still in the state playoffs, so make sure you're keeping an eye on those games this week. We will. Before we take our next break, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors: Quick Fill, Dauber Auto Supply, John's Wildwood Pizza, Denny's Sales and Service. Without them, we wouldn't be here for you. When we get back, we're rounding out our players of the year, but this time we're heading to track and field. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. IP had to go, so it's just me and you, Paulie. I think we can hold down the fort.
We can try.
Although he took my D-10 track athlete of the year, so
That sounds like
I was going to
Isaac.
kick him out anyway. Oh gosh, good times, good times. You know what? Let's go right back into it.
This is our superlatives episode.
We should do a superlatives episode. Maybe we'll think about that. Maybe we'll do like a year in review, like a yearbook. Maybe we'll think about that for next week. Maybe next week will be our D10 yearbook, and we'll give out superlatives from fall through spring.
I like it. We could come up with some fun categories. I
All right,
think.
Hallie, write that down because I will forget by the time we leave this.
Oh, I like having Hallie here.
I do too, because I will forget by the time we walk right out of the studio. Hey, before we forget, let's go ahead and dive into the North Shore Rewind for track and field. All right, starting off on the boys' side, Paul, you got to see a ton of these athletes in person, being a Girard track coach, and you're not playing favorites here. You're not playing homer picks this week. I like it. Who is your D10 track and field male athlete of the year?
Well, to regular listeners of this show, I have talked up this guy pretty much, from preseason to all the way to now. He did end up as a state gold medalist in the 300-meter hurdles. Blake Cook from Corey, 37.56. He ran it down at Shippensburg to take the gold medal in the 300-meter hurdles. Also took third in the high hurdles. I think he was a little disappointed by it, based on the picture, the podium picture. He was not happy sitting on that
Fine,
that third
I'll
spot.
stand here.
Yeah. Good news is he's a junior. He'll be back next year,
Yeah.
which is insane to think. I said on this show a couple of times, I saw Blake Cook run this weekend. That's the fastest I've ever seen a human being in person run the 300 hurdles. And then the next week would come, and I go, well, he did it again. He ran faster than he did last week.
Yeah.
And he finished in the year with his fastest run of his season, of his career thus far. So Blake Cook is my D10 track and field male athlete of the year.
I'll throw in mine here as well. Let's go back-to-back, Corey, because these were great stories. Nolan Carey, javelin state champ with a throw of 189.5. And both of these guys ended an 18-year drought for Corey. That's per Go Erie as well in the field events. So I love this from back-to-back. Javelin, when I watch the javelin event, it seems so unnatural to me. It's
really weird.
You got the javelin back, and it's almost like a hup, 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 hup.
Yep.
That's what I say in my head every time. You can tell I wasn't a track athlete. And then to round out the male athletes of the year, this was mine. I left it for IP. He went with Vinny Feliciano, the Don, from Mercyhurst Prep, the 100-meter state gold winner. His title winning time of 10.85 seconds. Fastest sprinter in D10. Can't wait to cover him in football this fall.
And another underclassman, sophomore.
Yep. So that wraps up our male athletes of the year. Let's jump over to the girl side.
Do you want to go first on this one?
You got it. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you to go first because I actually haven't
All
decided.
right, I'll go first then. And this one, I think I love an underdog story. I think most people do. They love an underdog story.
Yes.
And this one, I honestly don't know that we talked about this athlete all year until she wins gold. And I think that makes me want to put her in this category even more. And that's Karis McElhaney from Greenville. The 2A 800-meter state champ, crossed the finish line at 2:12.65. Anchor of the team.
Insane.
But I love this. She actually attends Jamestown, Pennsylvania, and then competes for the Greenville Trojans through the school's co-op arrangement. So I love, Isaac talked about this earlier. I love that small school mentality. I love when a small school athlete can step up at states and do something like this. So yeah, my girls athlete of the year, female athlete of the year is Karis McElhaney.
All right, I guess that leaves me because IP's gone. All right, so I'm looking at three names. I'm down to a top three.
I'll tell you what, do this. Pick yours, and then IP didn't give us a girls athlete of the year, so you can take both and just give one to Isaac.
I love it. That still leaves somebody out, which I don't like doing. That's fine. I will make my female athlete of the year in track and field, Alina Urbanowicz from Fort LaBeouf. She made states, but I'm going to give you her district numbers here. 100-meter dash, first. 200-meter dash, first. 400-meter dash, first. 4x1 relay, okay, second. But she was a leg on there.
Fine.
Only a junior, and I made her the athlete of the year because Fort LaBeouf actually won the overall team title at districts, and she was obviously a major part of that.
Sure.
So she will be back next year. Not a terrific showing at states, but once again, I tell people all the time, I tell my athletes, I want you to go to states even if you don't make it, just to kind of get used to the atmosphere.
Oh, it's a whole
because
it's a whole other level.
It's a whole different level, man. Yeah, so she went down. She's got used to it. I assume she will make it back next year, and I anticipate great things for Alina as a senior.
All right, so give us your other one, a.k.a. Isaac's pick.
Isaac's pick, listen, he likes Sharon a lot, and I can tell. So he went with Andrea Young, the 100-meter hurdle state champ, senior.
Yeah.
Explosive, tall, long. I met her down at districts.
Yep.
She nearly passed out after a tremendous 300-meter run.
Yeah.
Ends up the hurdles, high hurdles, gold medalist, and she placed I think 4th or 5th in the 300s as well.
It's just crazy.
Just crazy.
Yeah. You know, track is one of those sports that maybe I'm underselling it. Isn't usually well attended. But you need to go. They are so much fun to go watch a track meet and to watch these athletes, especially something like districts or, gosh, if you could get to states. I mean, these athletes are just so much fun to watch as, you know, they're flying over the hurdles or whatever that might be. Like, I think the long jump is one of my favorite competitions there, too.
The relays are fantastic.
Yep.
It's good. It's a fun time.
All right, Paulie, you ready for a 2-minute drill?
Let's do it.
All right, go.
Meadville boys swept Sagertown to win their 5th District 10 Class 2A title in 6 years. The Bulldogs are now 16-0. Were led by Max Decker's 35 assists and 13 kills from Parker Gosnell. Luke Sorensen added 9 kills and 7 digs. Meadville, who is 109-3 since 2019 under coach Nick Bancroft, will host South Fayette in the PIAA playoffs June 3rd. That's tomorrow. District 10 sends 6 teams to the PIAA baseball playoffs starting today. West Middlesex opens Class 1A versus Greensburg Central Catholic at Slippery Rock. In 2A, Greenville faces Red Bank Valley, while Mercyhurst Prep hosts Riverview. Titusville meets Mohawk in Class 3A. Cathedral Prep plays Central Valley in 4A, and McDowell takes on Seneca Valley in the 6A bracket. In softball, 5 teams will represent District 10. Cambridge Springs kicks off the 1A bracket against West Green down at Slippery Rock. In 2A action, Sharpsville takes on Neshannock, while Seneca battles Riverside out at Penn State Barron. Sharon squares off with South Park in 3A, and Fort LaBeouf meets Elizabeth Forward in a 4A showdown, also out at Barron. The 2025 Edinburgh Athletic Hall of Fame class features 11 new inductees, headlined by wrestling greats Mitchell Port and AJ Shop, and women's basketball star Kiera Kiki Brown. Port and Shop combined for 6 All-American honors, over 260 career wins. Kiki scored 1,278 career points and was the program's first 2-time WBCA first-team All-American. The class also includes the historic 1970 Lambert Bowl football team and standouts from swimming, softball, soccer, and a wheelchair basketball team, with induction set for September 26th. Finally, the Erie Seawolves wrapped up a 6-game road series against Reading with a 4-2 record. After a 1-0 loss on Thursday and a rainout Wednesday, Erie swept Thursday's doubleheader. They clinched the series with a 5-0 shutout on Sunday behind Garrett Burns' 5 scoreless innings. They return home tomorrow to host Richmond at UPMC Park.
You know, the Seawolves are another team that I was a little worried about coming into this year.
I think we all were.
You lose Gabe Alvarez. There's some turnover on the team. You got guys moving up. The Tigers are still one of the best minor leagues in the system. But they're 34-17 right now.
I think
tied for the first.
Didn't we talk to Greg like a week before the season? He goes, "Yeah, we don't really have the roster finalized yet." So we're like, "Okay, great. we don't know who the manager is. We don't know who the team is. Let's go."
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I love, you know, when the local teams are doing well. I mean, they're still plus 130 in a run differential.
Gosh.
Like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, that'll
be fun. 11-1 on Saturday. Yeah, that's how you do it.
So, we're looking to get out to a game sometime soon. Still waiting for the John Oliver report, too. I'm still interested to see when, you know, what they'll change their team name to.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. There's a superlative in that, I believe, all on its own.
I like that. Rich, we never asked you. If you could rename the Seawolves, what would you rename them?
Pepperoni balls.
Just go with it. Just commit to the pepperoni ball.
Why not?
They've already got a logo. Let's go.
You know, the Smith's hot dogs or something. You know. That could be interesting.
Can't say that on the air. All right. We'll see. To be continued on that one. Hey, when we get back, we're going to run through Paul's NFL OTA playoff predictions. We ran through ours last week. We'll see if Paul's got any difference in mind. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. But I'm just happy we have commercial break. That's all. Paul's just unveiling the behind the scenes of parental field trips slips. See, we can do more than sports. Deep state. We can do more than sports over here at the Gem City Sports Network. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Oh, a lot of fun. Hey, we want to bring this back. Last week, if you missed this, go back and check the podcast. Again, Gem City Sports Network. Find us anywhere you can get a podcast, even a video version on YouTube. Isaac and I went through and we did our way too early NFL OTA playoff predictions. So we wanted to have Paul give a chance to kind of give his and talk, because you pulled this stat. What is it, 6 teams?
I wrote it down. So in 16 of the last 19 NFL seasons, an average of 6 teams who made the playoffs the year prior will miss the playoffs the following season. So there were 4 last year. That's a lot of shakeup.
Yeah.
So last year there were 4. Cowboys, 49ers, Dolphins, Browns.
Yep.
So you look at the teams who made it last year and you try to pick out, okay, of those teams who made it, of the 14, there is likely to be 6 who will not make it this year.
Yeah, and which is surprising. I mean, that just shows you the parity of the NFL versus like the MLB.
Parity is the perfect word.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, right now, the Pirates are doing awful. The Guardians are doing fine, but there's a reason we're not talking about the Pirates and we're talking about early OTA predictions versus talking about the Pirates falling again over the weekend.
Which is why the NFL is king. There is your team has hope every year, unless you're a Dolphins fan. But literally every year.
Or a Browns fan. Or a Browns fan. So anyway, enough bearing of the Browns for today. But Paul, let's go ahead. Let's start with the AFC and go to the NFC, and we'll run down through. Let's start in the AFC North. Who do you think is going to take the North and thus get the playoff ticket punched from there?
Okay, so I didn't write it up that way, but I can figure that out.
Sorry to throw a curveball.
That's fine. What I wrote down was, so last year's playoff teams in the AFC: Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Ravens, Steelers, Texans.
Okay.
And then I took 3 from each conference.
Okay.
That I said they're not going to make it.
Let's go ahead. Let's
start
with the AFC.
Right. So the AFC teams I have that made it last year that will not make it this year: the Broncos, the Steelers, and the Texans. I think they're out. All right, I can give you explanations on each, but I'll give you my 25-26 playoff predictions. In the AFC: Bills, Chiefs, Jaguars, Ravens. Those are your division winners. And my wild card teams I have is the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chargers.
Okay. All right. Well, let's stay with the teams that are out: Broncos, Steelers, Texans.
Yes.
there's a lot of Steelers fans that are going, but we're going to make it with Mason Rudolph.
Okay. I would just pat them on the head and I'd give them an 8-pack of crayons and I'd say, that's great. Go color or something.
I need a 16-pack, thank you.
That's fine.
No,
Nick,
I am not.
32.
I am not. They were not in my playoff predictions last week.
I think any rational Steelers fan, which I know is asking a lot, I think any rational Steelers fan will look at this year at the roster as currently constructed and say, yeah, I think that 18-year over 500 record for Mike Tomlin, and I love Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
I think that comes to an end this year.
People can send hate to what's your Twitter handle? I'm just
It's
saying.
at I'm Dr. Artman.
Ouch. Though, to be fair, I also had them. This is the first losing season
I'm
in
sorry.
Mike Tomlin's career.
I think the defense
agree.
is going to be great.
And that's with or without Aaron Rodgers. I don't even care. Aaron Rodgers doesn't move the needle for me this year.
I think the run game got worse.
Yeah.
I think the receiving core, DK Metcalf is great.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah.
Now, they might actually get Jonnu Smith. I don't know if you saw this
I did
rumor mill
see
that's
that.
swirling around. I'd be fine with that.
I'm not. But I'm a Freiermuth fan. And then you went and you got...
Jonnu's a number 2. He's not
Yeah.
a number 1. He can't block.
I like
so he
Darnell
would actually be a
Washington, though.
nice... I was going to say, it
He's
would
a
take Darnell
monster.
Washington off the field. I would actually ask for Darnell Washington back.
Oh, that's fair.
Because we don't have anybody
If you were a
that
Dolphins
can
fan,
block.
yeah,
Right.
that works for the Dolphins.
Right.
All right. We're getting, you know we're in the weeds if we're getting into
I know.
tight end talk. All right.
Yeah. Tight end 2. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I also knocked the Broncos out.
Yep.
I think they were good. I think they overachieved. I think the sophomore slump is real.
Yeah.
I think Bo Nix was he was a lot better than I anticipated. But I think we find that sophomore slump. I think they get knocked out. I think they play in the toughest division in football. I think they're out.
I had them as a wild card, so I'm not going to push back too far. But Texans. So you get Texans out.
Okay, look at what happened to the Texans last year. What was the Texans' biggest weakness? Offensive line.
Yeah.
What did they do to the offensive line?
Traded away
Well,
their
they got
best
rid of their best
offensive
offensive lineman.
That's not good. That's not
It's not great, Bob.
No, I agree. I had them missing the playoffs this year, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I love C.J. Stroud. I think he's going to have a great career.
Think he's a great quarterback.
But you can't throw the ball if you're running
Listen,
for your
as
life.
a guy who has a good quarterback and no offensive line, it's tough.
All right, so jumping over to the NFC, what teams do you have out in the NFC?
Okay, so from last year, I took out the Rams, the Vikings, and the Buccaneers.
Okay.
Okay, and my 25-26 playoff predictions for the NFC. Division winners, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Packers, and wait for it, the New Orleans Saints.
I am going to wait for it because we talked about not knowing
Yeah,
who's going
me
to play
too. I
quarterback
know.
in Pittsburgh, but I don't know who's playing quarterback.
I don't feel great about it.
You know who's going to play New Orleans? You know who's going to play quarterback for New Orleans this year?
It might be Kellen Moore.
It's gonna be- He's like, you know what? Screw it, guys. I'm going to call the plays.
None of you guys
and I'm
can
going to
do
throw
it.
the ball. I think Jameis is coming back. Bring Jameis back to New Orleans.
Interesting.
Bring Jameis back to New Orleans.
He's at New York right now.
That'll help my dynasty team.
And I have the wild card teams as the Commanders, the Lions, and the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is finally the year Kyler Murray gets over the hump.
I don't know that he
Second
can
year at the
see
head
hump.
coach. They finished the end of last. The Cardinals
still
were
don't love
one of the
that defense.
teams that they're not bad. But Gann is a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
He's a pieces guy. Put his pieces in place and just run the system.
And that's
I
a
think the
weak
defense is
division,
going to be
too.
better.
Weaker division, I should say.
James Conner's down there. That dude's good for 1,000 yards, whether he plays in 10 games or 16.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, if he can stay healthy, I get it. Knock on any piece of wood you got around you. The offensive line is improved. The wide receiver core is improved.
Yeah.
The second year with the head coach, and like I was about to say, last year at the end of the year, the Cardinals were one of the teams that you just did not want to see.
Yeah.
They took the Eagles to the limit in week 15, 16, 17, right there at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think they're a much improved team. I don't know if they get over the 49ers, who are going to be healthy.
That's my fear. I think you're going to have a healthy 49ers offense when the season actually starts, although Pearsall's already injured, I read. I think you're going to have...
He doesn't move the needle.
You're gonna, I disagree. But Purdy, you have Purdy. The contract stuff is behind him now. He's there. He's paid. They just traded for more defensive help, so they're still getting Bryce Huff. They went and traded for Bryce Huff, so they're still stacking up the defense. I think the Niners are going to have a comeback year. I still think that I like the Rams. I think the Rams win the West. I like the revamped offense. The defense is still strong. They don't have like standout playmakers like they did when they had Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but they have contributors at every level of the defense.
Right. So that was a big reason why I knocked him out, because Aaron Donald is gone. Best player on the team is gone.
Yep.
They were really hit and miss last year anyway.
Right.
When they were on, man, I wouldn't want to play the Rams either. But when they were off, this is a team that looked bad against the Dolphins. Okay?
Yeah.
That's not good. I knocked out the Vikings. They're going to change the quarterback. They're going to go to J.J. McCarthy.
I agree.
Honestly, I just don't know.
So you had the Lions in the wild card.
I had the Lions in the wild card.
Who
I had
did you
the
have
Packers winning the
North?
division.
Packers. Okay, that's I can't disagree with that one.
They lost both coordinators. This is the Lions.
Yeah.
They lost both coordinators. I think Ben Johnson's a genius.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to – they're not going to be bad. Man Campbell is awesome. That team is going to compete every week. I just think they're going to take a step back.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. CTL's Dan Sheldon is ready to find Paul and slash his tires.
Is he a Lions fan?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have him in the playoffs.
That's fair.
Bleeds blue, man. I'm telling you what.
I think that
Honolulu blue or Hawaii blue or whatever.
Yes.
I think
Had my wife make him a scarf in that color.
Really?
Yes.
It's a sweet
it's
shade
June.
of
He
blue.
still wears it. But I think the coordinator talk is fair. The team got better this year, though. I think they've added more depth. They've lost David Montgomery, but the run game is still going to be strong. They add some more defensive pieces, and even their draft pick Isaac Tesla. It's 2 A's. I think is going to be an immediate contributor as well. So
He's a good player.
I think they're going to be tough. Green Bay, though, I think same. You can make the argument they got better as well.
They had one weakness, wide receiver, and they went out and signed 72 of them.
Yeah, and the Bucks. I think you're going to see Baker come back to being Baker without Liam Cohen. So I agree with you.
Well, I was just going to say, so they lost the QB whisperer.
Yep.
They were a team that they were slightly over 500. I think you lose your best offensive coach, and I think it takes them back just a step. That's all.
Baker's a system quarterback, right? That term gets thrown out a lot in terms of trying to explain people. But he's a system quarterback. He's got to be in a good system that fits his school, fits his skill set, that he's protected, that he can move around a little bit. So I agree with you there. Yeah, we don't cover the NFC a lot just because all of our teams are in the AFC. So I can't really pick holes in you too much. So if you could pick your Super Bowl based off of your playoff picks, give me your Super Bowl.
Well, it's hard to pick against the Eagles right now.
I agree.
Hindsight is 20/20. Really, along the offensive and defensive lines, they lost a piece on either side. Milton Williams is gone from the defensive side of the ball. He was a rotational defensive tackle anyway.
Yeah.
So, they're going to lose some snaps, but they don't lose any starters. On the offensive side, Mekhi Becton is gone. Maybe the biggest guard in the league. But they played, 3 centers last year, and it seemed like whoever they put in...
Plug and play.
But here's another team, lost the offensive coordinator.
Yes, I think that's going to be a big deal.
So 3 offenses in 3 years, that's tough to overcome. But again, football's easy, man. Run the ball, stop the run. They do it better than anybody.
They did go internally with that hire, too. So maybe there's still
maybe they keep
shades
the system.
of the old system, yeah.
But boy, I like Kellen Moore as a play caller, as you can tell by my Saints
pick.
division winner pick. But then again, I will say, look at that division and try to find another division winner.
You're not saying the Saints are good. It's more of the division is bad.
Yeah. I almost went with the Panthers, which take that for what it will. Right?
All right. So who's your so Eagles in the Super Bowl? Who's your AFC pick?
AFC pick. Okay, so I have them. Boy, I don't know. I'm between the Bengals, who can be so hot offensively, but they have absolutely no defense.
Yeah, still.
And I have the Bills because the NFL loves Josh Allen so much that they literally change rules to make him happy.
Remember, he's a Dolphins fan, folks.
I'm just saying. The last time he played in Miami, when it was over 85 degrees, the fan base wrote OSHA. We can't play in the sun. We can't possibly play in the sun. So they switched it. They haven't played in the sun in 4 years. So I think this may be the year that the Bills are granted. They're given the downhill wheelbarrow into the Super Bowl.
I don't know. I'm not bought into the Bills. They're going to be great. They're going to win the division.
They're going to be super good, man.
But to get past either Mahomes and or Lamar, I think this is the year Lamar makes it to the Super Bowl.
I think the Eagles broke the Chiefs. I think they showed the league what you need to do, how to beat Kansas City. Kansas City didn't get better.
But they said that.
Kansas City is literally saying, we have Mahomes, whatever.
But they said that with the Giants and Brady, too. And then look what happened. I think maybe what I'm saying is I think the Eagles can break the Chiefs. I'm not sure that there's a prescription there to follow. Similar to how the Giants could break the Pats, but I don't know that there was ever a prescription there either.
Are the Chiefs willing to cheat as much as the Patriots were?
And that's where we go, folks. We got to sign off. We got to get out of here before we get Paul all fired up into the Patriots.
Are you telling me there's not another segment?
Hey, that's it. Thank you. Signing off for Paul Adamzak, Rich Smith, Hallie Parker, IP. That's it. We're done. Have fun.